Ever wanted to be recognized in your company and get the pay raises and the rewards that come from it? And we're waiting on HR or our boss to make that happen. And then nothing, no small rewards, no big rewards, nothing happens over the year, maybe over the 2 or 3 years. That happens all the time. Nobody's coming to build it for you. Nobody is coming to give you a pay raise or put together your case of what's going to move your value in the company. I learned this a long time ago when I was at Bell South, and I had been working. I had a title, everything looked cool, except nothing was moving. And I was waiting on things. And some of my bosses would say things like, the cream always rises to the top. You know, they would make these statements as if you just be patient, Dale, and just sit there, do your job, and all the things they had been told. Now, they were only 1 or 2 levels above me, so let's be fair. It wasn't working for them. They had been there 30 years. So I realized that if I wanted anything to happen, I had to make it happen. That's the mindset that changed for me. Once I made that happen, once it did happen, and it was much easier than I thought, then that was the powerful tool. I was solving my own problem, and it became a solution that I've been helping people with ever since, including the people I was at Bell South with. So that's what I want to share with you today is how can you move your salary up effectively. So this is the Company of One podcast. I am your host, Dale Callahan. What we're trying to do here is help professionals take control of their income, take control of their earning power, so that you can maximize the income to your household. But also using your God-given gifts so that you enjoy and love your work. Because that's just as important as the money, and maybe I might even say more important than money. So let's walk through this. Let's walk through a couple of things here that I'm going to hear that I have right here on paper I'm going to share with you. I say that so you know that I have a plan. Most people are waiting for permission. Right? We get that. We're waiting for permission to make the case for getting a pay raise. What we're oftentimes waiting for is the end of the year evaluation. And let me just tell you, if you've ever been a person who's done evaluations, or if you're doing them now, it's terrible. Nobody likes the process. The people that are getting evaluated don't like it, and the person who hates it more is the person doing the evaluation. I say that to say, it's not the time to be asking for a raise, because they just want to get them done. If they're evaluating one person, they're probably evaluating 3 to 10, maybe more. Just let me get this stupid thing off my desk into HR and get it done, because I don't want to do it anyway. That's what I am thinking as the evaluator. If you're coming to me at that point, that's terrible, terrible time. That's what most people tell you to do. So the truth is, though, the companies. Let me back up here and just tell you. I'm going to say everything we're talking about here is you as a company of one. You are a company of one. So let's talk about how do companies raise their income, because that's what we're dealing with here today. Companies do 3 things. If they want more money, and think about McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, Apple, it doesn't matter who the company is, they have a couple of ways of increasing their revenue. Number 1, find new customers. It's the hardest, most expensive thing to do, by the way. I've got to go out and find customers. Apple has to go find people who don't buy Apple products and convince them to buy Apple products. It's tough. That's a tough animal, and we call it the cost of customer acquisition to measure that. But the second thing is we might want to increase impact where we are. Actually, let me stop it. Let me say that differently. We want to sell more times per year to a customer. Now, everything that you are probably buying in terms of software and maybe even other things right now, you're probably buying a lot of things on subscription. Think Netflix, think YouTube channels, think all these things you get sucked into to pay for monthly. selling more times to the same customer a year, increase the frequency of sales. That's the second way to make money. That's easier than new customers. I'm selling to existing customers. Or the third thing that we might do is an upsell. Now, an upsell is, you think about, was when you're going to the drive-thru and they say, do you want fries with that, right? Or would you like to upsize this or supersize this? That's an upsell. That one is the best one because you've already got your wallet out. You are already about to spend money. It might be also something in your checkout on your webpage at Amazon. They offer, hey, most customers who bought this also bought this. Sure, add it to my cart. So those are the three ways companies do it, right? New customers, sell to the same customers more frequently, or the easiest to, while the transaction is going on, to sell more to them, to increase the value of each sale is how we would say that. Excuse my phone, it's supposed to be turned off. So what we want to do here is, we can fix it turned off right now. What we want to do here is translate that to your day job. You're a company of one. It's the same concept here. And so let me just kind of unpack this for you. The one way you can make more money is to find new customers, which to us means find a new job, right? So that's the easiest thing to do. And a lot of times I have told people, look, you're not going to move in your company. We can look at what I've told my own people, that you are stuck because of a pay system, because of the structure of the company, because of your reputation, because you've gotten sideways with the company. I had an employee one time. She was good at what she was doing, but she had gotten sideways with a lot of the people around us, right? Her reputation had been damaged by lots of things. Some not her fault, some her fault. But I told her, I said, look, there's no way out. There's no way for you to win in this organization. You just need to leave. And that's the only way she did win, she just had to leave. Sometimes you're stuck for other reasons. Sometimes it's the politics of the organization. Sometimes it's the pay scale of the organization. They don't value, if you're an electrical engineer and everybody else are mechanical engineers, they may not value what you're doing as much as you think it should be valued. So there's all kinds of reasons. They're not bad. There's not anything wrong with them. It's just that you can't move up there, and you have to recognize that. And so the fastest thing to do is to get out, to look for another thing. But even if you're in a good job and you enjoy the work and they're paying you well, probably the only way to really move up the ladder is outside. That's usually the fastest way. It's a little bit different because it is a new customer acquisition. It's a lot of work, but it can be the fastest bump. Not always. So what a lot of my clients have done over the years is they've used the reverse interview process. They've gone out and talked to people, not actually looking for a job, just making connections and networking naturally with what they're doing. And they'll get 30, 40, 50, 100% pay raises. All of them end up with job offers. That's just a given. You're going to, if you do the reverse interview process, and by the way, we're going to be putting out a product on that very soon. It's one of the most frequent questions I get asked about. Is how to do the reverse interview process. But that's you networking. That's you just going out and talking to and meeting people that are doing things that look cool to you. And that way you're going to get job offers. But so that's the number one way you can increase your income, is by finding a new customer or a new job. The second one, though, is super powerful, and we talk about it a lot, but a lot of people don't do it. And that's what we would call, let's translate it back to the traditional business, finding new customers, adding new customers. And this would be what we might call a side hustle or a side business or something like that. I'm going to keep my job, but I'm going to do some work on the side, freelance, moonlighting, whatever term you want to call it. But basically, you are starting a company on the side. You can create value for one person. You can create value for many. You can do the skills that you do at work as long as there's not a conflict of interest. You can do something else. It doesn't matter. But there's a ton of money out there to be had at just doing these kind of things. Starting a side business, selling your expertise. It's also a very easy thing to do. A lot of times we actually end up doing it almost accidentally. There is a client of mine. He upped his salary. He almost doubled his annual salary, if I remember, by just doing work on Upwork. He started picking up jobs on Upwork and doing them in. So they were related to his day job, but he'd kind of moved into management. And see how often this happens. He was a technical guy, but he had moved into management. So at work, he was doing more managing and leading and not as much technical stuff, where he still geeked out on the technical stuff. So he would pick up jobs on Upwork and do the fun stuff and made pretty much doubled his salary without impacting his job. So Eric Ries in the book Lean Startup talks about the idea of validated learning. And that's a great way to do it, just doing something on the side. Doing some kind of side business where you're learning. Who are the customers out there? What do they value? How do I interact with them, etc. So that's a great way to increase income. And there's so many of us that are leaving money on the table because we don't do it. It's simple, and it doesn't translate. I know what people are thinking. I don't have time. I'm working 40 hours a week plus, so this is another 40 hours a week. No, the 40 hours per week in the corporate world is arbitrary. And I know, you're not getting 40 hours of real work done. If you think you are, you need to do a time audit. You're probably getting 20 hours of real work done, maybe less. And if you didn't have all the bureaucracy around you, you would probably you would have less to do. You'd have less meetings to go to and less emails and maybe more fun. I don't know. So it's not going to take you a tremendous amount more time. So that's the first two, is taking another job, adding some customers. The third thing, and maybe the one that's more missed, because I probably said things right there that was obvious to you, but here, the third one is so super powerful. It's the upsell. It's the, do you want fries with that? When they're saying that to you in the drive-thru, what they're saying is, can I add more value to you? And again, the super powerful part about that is you have your wallet out. You are already going to make a transaction. That's a given. You're in line. You're stuck in line a lot of times if you're in a fast food. The transaction is guaranteed. They're just saying, can I make more money on this transaction? If I could make $1 more on a transaction for everybody who passes through the window on a fast food restaurant, think about it, Chick-fil-A. How many people do you think pass through that window a day? It's a big boost. What if I can make $5 more? It's a huge boost, right, in income. So the people that you work for, they're already paying you. We're already on the pay scale. To up your salary a little bit, 10%. You do the math on that. What is 10%? Is that another $10,000? Whatever that is. Is that going to be a big deal to your corporation? Is it going to hurt them? Probably. They won't even notice. It probably is a blip. And even to your organization's budget. So it's not that the money's not there. And a lot of times where we're tightening our belt, we're not hiring in these positions. You'll hear all that going on, and maybe even fear we might eliminate some positions. But while they are eliminating some positions over here, while they have put a freeze on hiring over here, the work still has to be done. And you may think, well, they're going to pile it on top of me. They may. Well, that means you need to become more efficient and use AI and be better at it. But how can you add more value? That's really the question we're saying. Now you can do it with all those things and argue that. So what I would suggest is to stop waiting for a title bump, stop waiting for a pay raise, stop waiting for promotions. Those things happen, but they're bureaucratic. They're incredibly bureaucratic. Instead, right now, starting today, you be in control. You make yourself more indispensable. Find problems where you can save cost, save time, add value by maybe selling more to customers, whatever. Find things you can do and track and measure it. We do this exercise in the IEM program we call Finding Your Number, where we actually get employees to put a financial number on the amount of value they add to the company in dollars, and then they track that and they share that with their internal customers, and they get pay raises, because once you start tracking what you're doing, your natural inclination is to, it's kind of like counting calories, right? Just by watching how much you eat, it makes you more conscious of what you're doing, and so you tend to lose weight. It's not necessarily all your other habits change, it's that you're paying attention. The same thing happens here when you measure your value output. When you start measuring it, you start paying attention to what matters more. It doesn't mean you really start doing a whole lot more things, but you start being more intentional about what you do. So we take these numbers, we share them with our boss, and we do that. Now, we'll do some other things, and I can give you some resources of how to do that better. But that's the idea. Put dollars to it. So what we're doing is building some raises inside. And I've seen something like one of my students in our graduate program that she had just automated some manual reports they were doing. A couple of different people were involved in this, and she created some scripts and automated them and saved them all about 10 hours a week. Now, she automated them, and then she had to document, hey, this costs, you spent this time doing this, and you spent this time doing this, and I spent this time doing this, and so that's about 10 hours a week times our average salary. That's a pretty big impact, right? So she went and showed that. She got a pay raise, because she was showing return on investment. So here's just the kind of things that you want to think about. That's the third one, is the upsell. That's the easiest one for you to do. And if you should be doing it, you should be doing it now. You should be doing it anyway. You should be tracking the value that you add. So you can go get new jobs, get new customers. You can start side businesses, or you can just start adding value today. So in the book Atomic Habits, James Clear says, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Now, I like that, because we like to write down goals. Systems are harder. Well, actually, writing down a system is easy. Sticking with a system is harder. The system here I'm going to talk about is just simple. Every month, find a way to add value. I remember reading a book. I forget. I think she owned a shoe store. It was a woman who owned a shoe store, and she had just a few employees, and she just kept a running track of a business improvement plan. As she dealt with customers, she would just take her pen. Hey, well, it'd be better if we did this. It'd be better if we moved the sales checkout thing to over here to increase the flow and maybe maximize the fact that the customers had to walk around in a different way. She just noticed things, right? It wasn't super intentional, except that she just paid attention, and that was super intentional. And she just made a running list. And so each month, I think, she would pick one of these things and implement it. And so at the end of the year, she had 12 times improvement, not necessarily 12 times the income, but 12 times the improvement of her business. Now, everybody else's business was pretty much staying steady, and she was just constant incremental improvements. What if you did that on your day job? Just constantly keeping track of, hey, this is a struggle. Bob gets mad every time we do this because Bob has to do this. It's frustration to do this. People complain about this. You make all these things. It is so easy because people complain about so much, right? It's just gold right there waiting. All the frustrations. And so you're making a list of it, and you say, which one's going to add the most bang? Which one's going to add the most value? And you just implement those. So that's an atomic habit, if you will, of just doing something that could be so natural to you. Could be so easy to you. You probably almost have done that. So like I said, Sam, my friend, he just started doing some Upwork, got some side skills, side gigs, pretty much doubled his income. Mark, he did the swapped companies. He did 5 reverse interviews. Actually, he liked his job, but he was just doing it as part of our graduate program, got a $40,000 pay scale bump by going to another company. Wayne, I remember Wayne was telling me he documented the amount of money inside of his company. Just like we're talking about, he documented, starting sharing it internally, not over pushy, but just started sharing it, got a pay bump. Now, his biggest thing, though, is he saved, when there was a downsizing, he saved every employee on his team because he could show value. And to him, that was a much bigger deal than his pay. He was a hero, as you can imagine. They all built their raises. They all built systems. And none of these people are they're not jumping out and doing more hours. It's just, again, more intentional. It's like when you measure your food, with a Fitness Pal or something like that. You're not spending more time cooking. You're spending just a little bit of time documenting. That's it. It's not double the income. Double the amount of work. So in Colossians, in the book of Colossians, in 3:23, it says, "Whatever you do, do your work heartily as to the Lord." Now that's the foundation of everything. That's the foundation of everything I believe in terms of work. And it helps me because I'm not working for HR. I'm not even working for my boss directly. I'm serving them. I'm serving my customers. I'm serving bosses. I'm serving peers. All these people I'm serving, but I'm really working for the Lord. So even though John can be a jerk, but I can get past that, right? We're all given gifts, and we're expected to use gifts, because let me flip this around too. If you remember the parable of the talents, Christ was saying, if you're letting your gifts go to waste, that's shame on you. We're paraphrasing heavily, but shame on you. You shouldn't be doing that. You've got gifts, including your ability to earn money and serve more, and you are letting them go to waste by just not paying attention, or maybe being in the wrong place. So this is what we want you to do, is if you do these things, money is going to flow. Now, if you want some help on those, in a couple of episodes past, your skills are more valuable than your job title, side hustle or career change, how to decide, and stop asking permission to be great. I don't think that's the exact title, but you'll find those back there of what we're doing. And like I have said before, we are building a toolbox of some tools that will help you. The reverse interview, how to uncover hidden jobs is what I would really call it. There's a massive job market out there. I don't care what they're telling you about AI or HR. There's a massive job market out there. There's still a massive need for good people. That's not changed. It's gotten worse. So it's all out there. You can go find it. And so that's one toolbox we'll be talking about. But if you're looking for ideas for a side business, there is the DaleCallahan.com/idea engine. But if you go to DaleCallahan.com/toolbox, you'll find some of these other tools that we're working on. All right, we will be back with you next week. Thanks for joining. Go take some action.